Unmet is his institution's Director of Student Financial Aid. Recently, he was granted access to his institution's Financial Aid Dashboard, which access is granted separately from other post-secondary data partnership or PDP dashboards. He advocated for the addition of financial aid data and is eager to learn more. Before jumping to the dashboard, Unmet reviews some of the functionality and additions. The overall purpose of the Financial Aid Dashboard is to provide information about student unmet financial need. In addition, filters and dimensions related to aid type, income, and dependency help identify equity gaps. There are 3 unique additions to the Financial Aid Dashboard. First is the academic year parameter. While the dashboard is cohort-based, like other PDP dashboards, this dashboard allows the user to examine different academic years for the given cohorts. Because of this, the user can choose which academic year to explore. For example, the first academic year refers to the student's first year at the institution, regardless of the number of credit hours earned. The second academic year refers to the student's second year at the institution, based on the time since the student's first enrollment at the institution. The dashboard includes up to 6 cohorts, and the user can review the first through the 6th academic year of those cohorts when available. However, as the user progresses in academic years, the number of available cohorts decrease because data might not be old enough or time has not progressed far enough for their data to exist comprehensively in their 6th year. For example, for the 2021-22 cohort, not enough time has passed for 6 academic years of data to be available. Additionally, there are 2 unique filters on the Financial Aid Dashboard. The first is income. Income is the total adjusted gross income, as reported to FAFSA, for independent students or parents of dependent students. However, Unmet's institution did not have this data available from FAFSA. So, per PDP data submission guidelines, he used an internal source to provide income information similar to FAFSA. Data are grouped into categories for reporting purposes. The second unique filter is dependency status, which is the student's status at the time of their FAFSA application, or first term of enrollment for the academic year if FAFSA data is not available. Now Unmet is ready to explore the dashboard. He logs into the post-secondary data partnership dashboards and clicks on the Financial Aid Dashboard. At the top of the dashboard, he finds the Select Academic Year parameter. It defaults to the first academic year, meaning the students who are in their first year at his institution. He clicks on the Filters drop-down menu to see the list of other academic years. To the right of that filter is Apply Additional Filters. Opening that, Unmet finds filters that are common to the PDP dashboards, like gender and race ethnicity. In addition, he finds the new filters for income and dependency. Now let's explore the visuals. Below the filters, Unmet finds the first reporting section. This section focuses on trends collapsing across the available cohorts and has 3 call-out boxes. The first is average percentage of students who applied for federal financial aid, the ICER record, in their first academic year. For his institution, every student in their first academic year across all of the cohorts has applied for federal financial aid. Next, average percent of students with unmet need above $500 in the first academic year. For his institution, 76% of his students across all the cohorts in their first academic year have an unmet need above $500. And the last value is average unmet need amount in the first academic year. For his institution, the average unmet need for students across all of the cohorts in their first academic year is $5,972. Unmet notices that if he changes the academic year filter to the second academic year, the values change in this section to reflect the students in the available cohorts for their second academic year. He changes that filter back to first academic year and explores the next reporting section. Unmet scrolls down the screen and finds the next set of reports, which are stacked bar charts. The title of the upper chart is Average Cost of Attendance in the First Academic Year. The x-axis shows 3 years of data for students in their first academic year. But if Unmet changes the academic year to the second, the most recent year is removed. And if Unmet changes the academic year filter to the third year, the report drops the second bar. The reason the report removes these bars is that sufficient time has not elapsed for that data to be shown. Unmet resets the academic year filter back to the first year. Now he looks at the data. At the top, he sees a horizontal line. This represents the average total cost of attendance for that cohort in their first academic year. The top segment in the stacked bar chart is EFC, which stands for Expected Family Contribution. The middle segment is Grant Aid, and the bottom section is Unmet Need. This chart allows him to compare these 4 metrics across up to 6 cohort years for students in their first academic year to see whether the cost of attendance has changed at a different rate compared to the student's EFC or Grant Aid. Now he looks at the lower stacked bar chart, which is the cost of attendance by dimension. He notices that this chart reports the same data as the upper chart, except that it is disaggregated by the first dimension, which is enrollment type. The lower bar chart has a stacked bar for each of the dimensions categories, which are first time and transfer in, for each cohort represented. The data represented in the chart are for the same 4 metrics: cost of attendance, EFC, Grant Aid, and Unmet Need. Next, Unmet clicks on the race-ethnicity dimension and sees that the cost of attendance by dimension bar chart disaggregates for each race-ethnicity category in each cohort. To simplify the chart, Unmet applies the race-ethnicity filter at the top of the dashboard to only include Black or African American, Hispanic, and white students, as he is currently focused on studying the 3 largest groups. He sees that the cost of attendance by race-ethnicity and the average cost of attendance in the first academic year visual now includes only those 3 populations. Other dimensions Unmet can apply include attendance, which is full-time or part-time status, age group, gender, first generation, GPA, income, and dependency. Now Unmet looks at the data. Scanning across the race-ethnicity categories, he sees different bar heights, which tells him that the average cost of attendance varies by race-ethnicity group. He also scans across and sees different bar heights for unmet need, which tells him that some race-ethnicity groups have a much larger unmet need than other groups. Besides adding a filter to reduce the amount of data showing, Unmet can also click on one of the segments in the upper bar chart, or the corresponding item in the legend, which affects the bottom bar chart, since these bar charts are linked. For example, he clicks on Unmet Need in the legend, which changes the linked bar chart to display only unmet need. This makes it easier to identify student groups with a higher unmet need. As another example, Unmet clicks on the Grant Aid segment in the legend, and it filters the lower bar chart to Grant Aid. To remove that selection on the cost of attendance bar charts, Unmet clicks on the cost of attendance icon in the legend. To reset the dashboard back to the first academic year and remove any global filters, Unmet scrolls to the top of the dashboard and clicks Reset View. Unmet scrolls down the dashboard to find the second set of bar charts that are also linked to each other. The upper chart is titled Share of Students with Unmet Need in the First Academic Year. The upper band represents students who are over-aided, meaning their aid package is more than their cost of attendance. For his institution, approximately 23% of students in their first academic year are over-aided for each of the 3 cohorts shown. The $1 to $500 band shows the percentage of students in their first academic year with an unmet need up to $500. For his institution, approximately 1% of students are in this band regardless of cohort. In the next band, approximately 9% of students in their first year have an unmet need between $501 and $2,500. In this band, approximately 11% of students in their first year have an unmet need between $2,501 and $5,000. This band represents first-year students with an unmet need between $5,001 and $15,000, regardless of cohort. And the last band represents first-year students with more than $15,000 of unmet need. Now he looks at the lower chart. By default, this data is disaggregated by the first dimension, which is enrollment type. The data in the lower bar chart defaults to the first category from the upper chart, which is over-aided students. However, by clicking on another segment in the upper chart, or by clicking the corresponding icon in the legend, Unmet can change that report to show any of the unmet need categories. Unmet clicks on the bottom segment, and the lower bar chart changes to display those students with more than $15,000 of unmet need. This makes it easier to identify the student groups with the highest need. Next, he changes the dimension to first generation to show how the lower bar chart changes to report those categories. Now that Unmet knows how to navigate the dashboard and read the data, he's excited to get started exploring his institution's data. To make the data even more robust, Unmet decides to add the additional 3 cohorts information so that all 6 possible cohorts of data display. He will also explore other questions, including the unmet need of other race ethnicities and small populations, those with a small n. In summary, the Financial Aid PDP Dashboard provides critical information to help institutions better understand the cost of attendance, expected family contribution, grant aid, and the unmet need of their students based on academic year enrolled, identify the characteristics of students with unmet need, and identify if there are equity gaps in cost of attendance and financial aid, including grant aid and unmet need.